Taika Waititi is commenting on the future of the Thor franchise at Marvel Studio, and he is saying that it should carry on with the evolution of the character, but still in a very fun way. No, thank you. I don't think your movies are fun. I think they are pedantic and childish. I'd rather get back to a more serious Thor. I'm not against the Thor of the first film where he is playing that kind of fish out of water. I think that really works for Thor. But if you aren't going to put him on Earth and have him play that kind of fish out of water character, I think you need to play him straight. He is a very serious character. He takes his business very seriously. And I think that's the way the character should be portrayed. But let's get into what Taika Waititi had to say. I guess in an upcoming book, Thor Love and Thunder, the official movie special book, Waititi has some comments in there. Screen Rant got, I guess, an early issue of the book. And Waititi was asked what is left to do with him. And he answered, it's got to be something that feels like it's carrying on with the evolution of the character, but still in a very fun way and still giving him things to come up against that feel like they're building on the obstacles that he has to overcome. Very generic, sound like really can't disagree with that as far as having him come up against obstacles. Of course, you want your hero to come up against obstacles. It just depends on what kind of obstacles you are going to have him come up against. As far as the idea being it's still very fun, I think I'd rather see him be more serious. I'm a little bit over all of the jokiness of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's probably why I did honestly prefer some of the Zack Snyder stuff. Really liked, obviously, Christopher Nolan's stuff for the most part, the tone that those films took, the grounded nature of them. But that's just my personality, my preference as well. And I get there's people that do like some of that stuff, but it does feel like a lot of people are getting tired of it now, especially because a lot of times the humor is undercutting a lot of the dramatic moments. So you'll have this really dramatic moment. You're supposed to be taking it seriously. You're really into it. You might be on the edge of your seat. Maybe not with more modern stuff, but you might have been at the edge of your seat previously. And then you'd have some joke undercut it, like that insults the character. And you're just like, what? Why would you do that? And you lose your immersion into the movie, and you're just like, "What am I watching now?" You're no longer there in the film. To this end, the Green Lantern actor, yes, he did indeed play in the Green Lantern film back in 2011. He asserted, "I don't think we can have a villain that's weaker than Hela. I feel like we need to step up from there and add a villain that's somehow more formidable." Totally fine with that. Depends on what you mean by formidable. Let's see what he has to say about that. Though the director did not name any specific threats who he felt could fill this role, he would go on to note that Thor's character is strongly rooted in the mythology that he originates from, and as such could face more and more outlandish and crazy beasts, monsters, and aliens. So Waititi concluded his thoughts. There's a fun element to him, and he has a casualness and a sort or swagger about him when he visits these worlds and encounters these aliens that I don't think you'd get when it's an earthling traveling through space, exploring the universe. Yeah, I mean, that's Thor. He's Thor. He's the god of thunder. He has a confidence. He has almost an arrogance to him. Although I would argue, I think in the first Thor film, that arrogance was kind of, he found humility through the trials that Odin put him through, and then they redid all of that characterization in Taika Waititi's films and everything like that. Don't know really what happened in Thor Love and Thunder because I had no intention of watching that because I thought what he did in Ragnarok was just despicable, so I wasn't going to give him another chance. But anyways, because I thought he just redid the whole character from the original Thor film. Anyways, he goes on and says, unfortunately, while Waititi's sentiments sound reasonable at face value, fans should take specific note of his assertion that a potential Thor 5 should carry on with the evolution of the character. Again, yeah, this is exactly, Spencer's pointing this out here, where once Thor was the classic archetype of a brash prince who needed to learn humility ahead of his destiny as king, thanks to Waititi's proud disregard for the source material, as well as the original first Thor film, let alone the comics, and his incessant need to subvert audience expectations at all costs, the hero is now little more than a defanged joke whose entire existence has been rendered nearly pointless, thanks to him having given up his position as Asgard's ruler to Valkyrie, and Love and Thunder having established that his power set is non-unique, transferable, and able to be wielded by literal children. So yeah, I'm glad I did not watch Thor: Love and Thunder because that's exactly what they did to Thor. It doesn't matter. He's not unique anymore. He's lost all of his mojo. They've given it away. As such, should Golden Avenger continue in his current Waititi-led direction? As of writing, there are no confirmed plans for Thor 4, nor has the director signed on for any additional Marvel projects. One can only imagine how much more damage would be done to his character. Yeah, I totally agree. Taika Waititi has been absolutely abysmal, I think, for the Thor brand. Yes, you can argue he had some big box office numbers, but I think that just shows that a lot of people watched it and were like, what in the world happened here? And I think if you look at it, Ragnarok did perform worse than Love and Thunder. So a lot of people were like me. They saw Ragnarok like, I don't need to see Thor: Love and Thunder anymore. I've had enough of Taika Waititi. Not interested in what he has to say about Thor. If they were going to do a new Thor direction and bring in a new villain, I think Mangog could be really interesting. Basically kind of a galactic threat, but maybe that's how they depicted Gore, the God Butcher, not sure. Loki, obviously always an interesting threat. Enchantress could be fun to do as well. I think Enchantress might actually be the more interesting of the characters because it's a different threat than kind of like a straight up battle of strength. Mangog obviously is a little bit different too because it's not just kind of strength. You got to use your wits. You got to go on an adventure, figure out ways to defeat him. So I think those two could be really interesting. So it's not just Thor straight up battle of strength, and he actually has to find different ways to solve the problem, defeat the villain, defeat the enemy. But what do you think of Taika Waititi wanting to keep Thor fun and his idea for what he wants for the future of Thor? Obviously, express my opinion, and I am not interested in what Taika Waititi has to say about the character anymore. But let me know what you think.